Good morning. I'm going to start the lecture. This is our third week. So first of all, I'll start my discussion with the last week's session, last week conducted session. Actually, we have not conducted lectures in the last week. Can you remember in the last week's session? Actually, we discussed the different thing, and I focused a very important part in your module. And I told you this is important not only for this HND program, not only for this diploma program. When you're doing your higher studies, right? When you're doing your masters, maybe degree, maybe this chapter again coming for you with some the base is same, right? The theory is same, but again you have to study about this. And I told you when you're doing your degrees, when you're doing your higher studies, you have to do a research, right? In masters, maybe in degree, maybe you have to complete a research. Most of the time, our students are selecting research topic, right, in the area of this project delivery methods, right, under this area. So, likewise, this discussion, this completed discussion, is very important area. Under this project delivery method, we discuss about different project delivery methods, and I told you normally before starting a project, you have to define what is the most suitable project delivery method for your project. It depends on your project situation, scenario of the project, the client situation, the cash flow, right? Due to those reasons, due to all these reasons, you have to finalize your most suitable project delivery method, right? It is also an important thing. So, due to different reasons, we are going with different project delivery methods. Design bid project delivery method. Under that one also, we discuss advantages and disadvantages. Under the advantages, I can say you have to work. That's in the project delivery method. The first important thing is you have to work with single firm, right? Construction part and the design part you have to do under one company. That's the main thing. When it comes to the next one, design bid build procurement method, or we are mentioning we have the traditional procurement method, the same thing. You have to work with two different organizations, right? For the design part, you have to work with one organization. For the construction part, you have to work with another organization. Two different companies are there. So that it's related advantages and disadvantages you can study. Construction management at risk, right? We discussed that part also. So in this place, there is a person like construction manager. He or she should handle both parties. After that, job order contracting, right? So that means we are taking some number of projects under one contract. Construction manager, multi-prime, integrated project delivery. Yeah, those are the main project delivery method that we paper, and sometime maybe for your assessment, right? So within today and tomorrow, within this weekend, I'm releasing your assignment and the assignment submission date. So you have to work for that assignment. You can start it now, right? Normally, when I'm doing your tutorial sessions for the last module, also I discuss how to develop a document, how to develop an assignment. The first basic details I have already completed, right? So in my assignment, I'm expecting those things, right? All important requirements I'm accepting from your assignment, right? Because of that, please focus to those areas. So I am the first mark of your assignment and exam paper because I'm the main module delivery. I'm doing the module delivery things for this module. So because of that, you have to achieve all discussed areas under my requirements, right? So this is our next topic, right? Next important topic. It is excavation, right? Excavation. So in the construction industry, we have to do different type of excavation works. We have to focus to the excavation. This is a very important part in the construction industry. Excavation. Before starting any project, right? Sometimes we have to do it. We have to construct building without doing excavations, right? Due to different reasons, due to soil type maybe. But anyway, most of the time, when we're doing at the time when you're doing a construction activity, we have to do excavation part, right? So in the construction industry, we have to, for different requirements, we are doing excavation, right? So I have to discuss those things under your under this module, under this chapter. The first one, what is excavation? Excavation is the process of removing earth to form a cavity in the ground. On small site or in confirmed spaces, excavation may still be carried out by manual measuring tools such as picks, shovels, and wheelbarrows. That's the manual excavation. Large scale excavation works will be require heavy plant such as bulldozers and backhoes. Right? So excavation I can divide into two areas like small excavation and large scale excavation. Right? The small excavation means we are not going for a very deep areas by doing the excavation, just a small excavation. Right? So we are not, for a small kind of excavation, we are not using different kind of heavy machineries, heavy things, right? Large scale machineries. By manual handling, by allocating some labors and by doing some manual weed and manual handling, we can complete some small type of excavations. But it's totally different in large scale excavation. Scale excavation, we have to use large scale machineries, right? Vehicles, tools, different kind of things, and sometimes we have to use different kind of technologies for the large scale excavations. So you all, I know at the end of this degree program or HND program or in your future, you all are going to be project managers. So when you're now every day I'm telling, I think I mentioned these things in the last week also. Project manager is the leader of a project. Project manager is the leader of the construction project. He or she should achieve project goals, project objectives. You have to handle your team for your objectives as a leader. So when you're taking decisions on the excavation part also, it is very important. You have to decide what is the most suitable machinery, what is the most suitable technology for this excavation. How I can think about the safety of my laborers when they're working in very deep levels. Right? You have to think about all these things as a project manager. Right? If you have any experience in construction project, maybe not, I'm not telling about large scale projects. Imagine about when any work is doing, when construction activity doing at your home. I think you have experience about the excavation. Excavate කරනවා දැකලා ඇති. Right? Those are the small scale excavations. Right? We are not using large machineries, vehicle, different technologies for that. No. Just by placing some people, by placing some laborers, we can do it. Right? But large scale excavation is not like that. But I'll show you, for your knowledge, some excavation types. Give me 1 second. I will share my screen with. Wait, I'll show you. This is a large scale excavation work. Can you see? Normally, this is the, now you can see the borderline, right, in this video. Here, this borderline. This is the existing ground level. After the ground level, but they are working at here. That means they're working in some deep level from the ground compared to the ground level, right? Compared to the existing ground level. Actually, in this excavation, they have enough space. Sometimes within a very limited area, we have to excavate for more deep levels, right? You can see what are the materials that they are using. You can see here they are the deepest labels, right? Then you can compare the height of this excavation and the area. We are using different kind of. This is how they remove the excavated soil or excavated material. after completing an excavation activity, right, you have a challenge actually. All the excavated materials you have to remove from the environment, remove from your excavated area. In some projects, it's actually challenge. When we are doing this excavation activity, sometimes we have to face another challenge, right? This water. Sometimes when we are doing the deep excavation, we are going level by level, right? We have a challenge from ground level water, the water level, right? If there is any case like that, you have to allocate some labels or machineries, sometimes some technologies to remove that collected water away from your excavation. It also a challenge to the work under the deep excavation. It's happening because of the groundwater level.
I was going to ask you how deep is it going?
Another thing I can show you now that step by step they are removing check how they are going to remove the excavated soil. At the same time, they are removing the water also. Look at this here, there is a pump, and they are removing, I think, the water also. Not only the machinery, people also working, laborers also working. Here, look at this. They're doing some hand digging work. Right, they're cleaning these whole areas. Only with the machinery, we can't complete a project. Here, I see this, that's removing the water. We have to pump the water and remove it. Check the height of this excavation, right? This is the laborer's height. Compare that, this is in the very deep level. This is a crane. Right now, for material handling, they have to use the crane. Right. Another thing is there. Actually, in this building, they have enough space, but sometimes, as I told you, we have to work in very deep levels with very small area.
Damro anot avrudu sale.
Now here, this is good. You can see right now in this video, they're doing an excavation in a very limited area actually. When you're doing an excavation like that, right, in here also they have enough space, but in the previously I shared video, they have very small, very big space no, they had. So that's why I shared this one also. So anyway, when you're working a place like this, when your staff or your laborers working in this kind of place, you have to think about their safety. Under the excavation chapter, under the excavation part of your syllabus, another important thing is the safety, right? The techniques, the blade, machineries, those things also important. What are the main things that you should use? Those areas also important. Other than that, not only that, the safety also important, right? Now you can see people should work in very deep levels, right? Compared to the existing ground level. Existing ground level එක කියලා කියන්නේ දැන් පිහිටි පොළව තියෙන තැන. එතන ඉඳන් පහළට ලොකු deep places වල තමයි මිනිස්සු වැඩ කරන්නේ. Right? So because of that, they have to use you have to follow safety things. Sometimes the people working in a very very deep levels, sometimes you have to pump oxygen also for them. You have to provide oxygen. Sometimes there may be very that's dangerous air conditions may be there. Some air maybe in the very deep levels, right? So you have to avoid everything by taking some necessary actions to the project. Not only that, here you can see they have already fixed some frames, right? Step by step, when we are going for a deep excavation, the very commonly what is happening is these excavated surfaces can be collapsed. චුට්ට චුට්ට excavate කරගෙන යටට යනකොට excavate කරපු මේ surface එක කඩාගෙන වැටෙන්න පුළුවන්. Right? Because it's not steady, you have already excavated and still you're doing the excavation stuff. So it can affect the available soil condition, the strength of the soil. Because that's soil එක හොඳට compact වෙලානේ තියෙන්නේ steady විදිහට. හැබැයි ඒවා තව excavate කර කර යටට steadiness එකට effect එකක් වෙලා අර වටේ තියෙන බිත්තිය දැන් excavate කරපු face එක කඩාගෙන වැටෙන්න පුළුවන්. If there is an issue like that, if this happens, directly it's affecting to all the workers, to all the laborers who are working under the ground, under that levels. Then here, imagine, make a collapse වැටුණා කියලා. Totally it's creating a lot of it's a damage to this person who is working in this vehicle and to these vehicles, everything it's creating a damage, right? So because of that, we have to fix some timber or steel structures, right? Some steel supportings to the excavated surfaces to avoid these scallops. Here you can see these are some supportings to the excavated surface. Right? එතකොට excavated surface එක කඩන් වැටෙන්නේ නැහැ because මේ structure එක තියෙන නිසා, මේ support එක තියෙන නිසා. Then you can avoid, you can mitigate that kind of issues. Give me 1 second. No very coincidence, I just wanted to show you. Right, I'll show you some excavation collapse.
Everybody knows construction sites are dangerous. But here, look at this worker entering a deep and narrow trench without any safety precautions and with the permission of the site supervisor. This is unbelievable because the deep trench is without sloping, benching, shoring, or shielding. It may collapse anytime. and there is a chance of the
Here
worker
you
being
can
buried.
see this is the excavated surface, right? මේ තියෙන excavate කරලා තියෙන surface එක. මේ excavate කරලා තියෙන surface එකට කිසිම support එකක් දීලා නැහැ. එතකොට දැන් මේ නිකම් excavate කරලා තියෙන මොකක් හරි හේතුවක් නිසා මේ soil එක මොකක් හරි මේ තද වෙලා තියෙන pack වෙලා තියෙන එක නැතුව ගිහලා පොඩක් හරි බුරුල් වුණොත් මේක collapse වෙලා වැටෙනවා. Right? Let's see. I have not checked
This is unbelievable because the deep trench anytime, and there is a chance of the worker being buried underneath tons of sand and debris. The worker might be unaware of the dangers, but what about the supervisor? Where is the excavation permit? Safe working procedure. What is the role of health and safety department? Is human life cheap and laying a piece of pipe more beneficial? I'm 100% sure that catastrophic incidents are always caused by the collaboration of middle and top management, and the victims are poor innocent workers. Remember, safety is not limited to paperwork. Your competence, obligation, responsibility, and accountability
it's not a real
are
incident,
what
just about a
make safe.
right? Right, okay. That's enough. Right, that is about large scale excavation. I think you know about the small scale of excavations, right? That's we already know. By allocating some labors, by allocating some machinery. Without machineries, you can complete, you can do the small scale excavation. I just want to show you some safety things for the again, sorry, deep excavation works.
ඕනෙම ජාතිය
Excavation and trenching, safe work practices. Trenching and excavation operations pose serious hazards to all workers involved. In fact, the fatality rate for excavation work is 112% higher than the rate for general construction. Cave-ins are one of the most feared trenching hazards and result in more fatalities than any other hazard associated with excavation and trenching. As a matter of fact, 1 cubic yard of soil can weigh as much as a car, making an unprotected trench a potential early grave for workers. As part of a safety and health program, employers need to emphasize specific practices that will help reduce the risk of on-the-job injuries at excavation sites. Employers should know where underground utilities are located prior to the start of excavation operations. Keep excavated soil and other materials and equipment at a distance of at least 2 feet from the trench edges. Identify any equipment or activities that could affect trench stability, such as vibration from nearby heavy traffic or machinery. Test for atmospheric hazards such as low oxygen, hazardous fumes, and toxic gases when workers are more than 4 feet deep. Inspect trenches at the start of each work shift. Inspect trenches following a rainstorm, other water intrusion, or any occurrence that could have changed conditions in the trench. Prohibit workers from working under suspended or raised loads and materials. Prohibit sloped or benched excavations at levels above other workers unless the workers at the lower levels are sufficiently protected from the hazards of falling, rolling, or sliding material or equipment. Ensure that personnel wear high visibility or other suitable clothing when exposed to vehicular traffic. Provide a warning system, such as barricades, hand signals, mechanical signals, stop logs, etc., to guide operators where the equipment operator does not have a clear and direct view of the edge of the excavation. Require workers to stand away from vehicles being loaded or unloaded to protect them from being struck by any spillage or falling materials. If employees see conditions that could result in cave-ins, failure of the protective system, or other hazardous conditions, they should not enter the excavated zone. If already there, the employees should immediately evacuate and report such conditions to their supervisor.
Right, that's enough. Right, that's about the deep excavation, and at the same time for the small scale excavations. Right, so now I think you have an idea about this excavation, especially for the large scale excavation. In this picture also it's showing, this is a shoring. Right, we can use different type of shorings, right, with different type of material. It's up to the requirement, but the purpose is to for the labor safety, protection of the excavated surfaces. All right. Now we have to discuss about the top excavation types in a project. The first one is the topsoil excavation. I believe for a lot of students this word may be a new thing. Topsoil excavation. Because you all are doing the project management, I think when they're preparing BOQs and everything, they should know about the excavation types from very small things, right? So anyway, the first in a construction project, in a proposed land, the topsoil excavation is the first excavation work that we should do. Site එකකට propose land එකට enter වුණාට පස්සේ අපි මුලින්ම කරන excavation එක තමයි මේ topsoil excavation එක කියලා කියන්නේ. So what is this? Right? The topsoil excavation means, now imagine, now you are going to construct your house. First off, it's a land without any existing that building, right? So you have the first thing, you should enter to the land. The land එකට enter වෙච්ච ගමන්ම ගස් තියෙනවා, තනකොළ තියෙනවා, right? Because it's not a used land. No? The first time you're going to construct your house in that land, right? There may be some rocks and there's some disturbance in the land, trees, trunks, right? Like different things are there, can be there, right? What is your first activity that you should do after entering into a land? The first thing is you should remove all those things. මොනවා හරි ඔයා හදන building එකට disturb වෙන ගහක් තියෙනවා, you should remove it. Otherwise you can't construct your building, no? Right? If there is any trees, trunks in your proposed buildable area, you have to remove those things, right? Now imagine now I have removed all the trees in my land related to my right. Now imagine now I have removed all the trees in my land related to my buildable area. After that I removed all the tree stumps in my land, right? Now the surface is clear. The main surface is okay, clear. Can I start our construction activities? No, still you can't. First of all, normally we are removing, right? We should remove the first layer of the soil. Because we are doing it, we are removing the first soil layer. Sometimes the soil layer right? Not just like that. Sometimes up to 150 millimeters. Likewise for some depth, right? 150 millimeters loku depth right? 150. Samai layer api ayin karana. Right? Sometimes this depth will be different, right? Generally 150. And I'll tell you why we are removing this one. Gas වලින් වැටෙන කොළ ඔක්කොම තියෙන first layer එකේ. First layer of the soil. සමහරක් වෙලාවට bag, body, bottle, bag, unwanted disturbances, everything in the first layer required for us. Those are disturbances to our building. Disturbances to our building. So we can consider first layer of the soil. We can consider first layer of the soil is not in a good condition. Due to that reason, we can remove the first soil layer, right? Because it is not usable. एक usable නැහැ කියලා අපි මොකද කරන්නේ? First soil layer එක remove කරනවා. That's the topsoil excavation, right? First soil layer එක now we are removing. Now keep in your mind this additional thing, but the topsoil excavation කියන්නේ මොකක්ද කියන it's important for you, right? Now keep in your mind, normally that construction industry එකේදී, if you have any construction working experience at least in your house, you can understand what I'm explaining. සමහරක් දේවල් තැන් තියෙනවා අපිට පස් පුරවන්න වෙනවා. පස් පුරවන්නේ requirements තියෙන දේවල් තියෙනවා. පස් පුරවන්නේ requirements තියෙන දේවල් තියෙනවා අපේ project වල. දැන් සමහරක් වෙලාවට අගේ ගෙදර උසයි නම් ගොඩක් අපි වටේට පස් පුරවනවා. Right? Some like that we have to use. Sometimes we have to do soil filling work for different requirements. ගොඩක් වෙලාවට අපි මොකද කරන්නේ? පස් කපන වෙලාවල් වල එකතු වෙන පස් ටික එක තැනක ගඩු ගහලා තියා ගන්නවා. If there is any requirement for soil backfilling, we can use that excavated soil for filling activities. අර excavated soil එක අපි අරගෙන filling activities වලට use කරනවා. Right? Normal, that's the thing. මොනවා හරි දෙයකට excavate කිදාන pit එකක් excavate කරනවා කියලා. කණුවකට වලක් කපනවා. වල කැපුවා. මම මෙච්චර වලක් කැපුවා imagine. මෙතන මීටර දෙකක් දිගයි. 2 meters, right? Imagine this is 1 meter, right? දැන් මම මේ වගේ වලක් කපලා දීපුවා excavated එක. එතකොට මේ සම්පූර්ණ බලයේ තිබ්බ soil ටික මොකද වෙන්නේ? I collected. මේ සම්පූර්ණ soil ටික මෙහෙම එකතු වෙනවා. right? මේ බලට ගියපු soil ටික ඔක්කොම එක තැනක එකතු වෙනවා. ඔය විදිහකට කපන වෙලාවට තියෙන පස් ටික එකතු කරලා තියා ගන්නවා. If there is any filling requirement, we can use that excavated soil for filling activities. That is not the point what I wanted to show you. Right? That's the thing what we are doing in the construction site. Now again I'm coming to the topsoil excavation. I told you topsoil excavation is the first excavation activity that you should do in the construction project. And I told you why you should do it. At that point I told you top soil කියන එකේ කුණු තියෙනවා, unwanted things තියෙනවා. ඒක හොඳ නැහැ. ඒක නිසා fresh soil එක එනකම් අපි කපලා අයින් කරගන්නවා. Right? So why we remove it? Because it is not important. That topsoil is not suitable for our construction activity. That's the reason why we removed it. ඒක වැඩක් නැති නිසා තමයි අපි remove කරන්නේ. Now, if you remove it because of it's unnecessary, right, to your construction activity, that means when you're doing any filling work, you can't use that excavated topsoil layer for a filling activity. ඕන තැනකින් කපුව පස්ස අරගෙන fill කරගන්න පුළුවන්. If it is in a good condition. හැබැයි topsoil එක අපි ගන්නෙ නෑ refilling activities වලට. The reason අපි topsoil එක අයින් කරේ ඒක හොඳ නැති නිසා. එහෙනම් මොනවා හරි එකක් fill කරනකොට ආයේ ඒක හොඳයි කියලා ගන්න බෑනේ. So you can't use that excavated topsoil for any filling activity. Keep in your mind, right? So sometimes it's not. It's a additional thing actually from y'all are doing project management. But I think you should know it, right? Because quantity survey students also should know. They have to learn about how the topsoil excavation, how to calculate the topsoil excavation. Everything they have to do with the calculations, right? So as a project manager, you also should know what is that topsoil. And especially, you should know you can't reuse that excavated topsoil for any filling activity. Right? Okay, that's about the topsoil excavation. Right. That now I prepared my soil for the next construction activity. The unwanted, unnecessary soil layers I removed. My second point is earth excavation. This involves the removal of the layer of soil directly below the topsoil. This is used to construct embankments and foundation filling works. Sometimes, after removing the topsoil, if you receive any instructions to remove some soil layers, right? If you receive some instruction for more excavations, you have to excavate those things, right? This excavation height, excavation depth, condition of excavation, the topsoil, the condition of filling material, everything is mentioning under your specification, drawing specifications. Right? That project manager විදිහට site එකකට ගියාම site එකට ඇත්තටම යන්න කලින් I think after you completing your diploma levels also you have to engage with the industry, right? You have to work in the industry. You have to take experiences from the industry, right? Actually, in the construction industry, only based on the paper qualification, only based on the paper knowledge, you can't be a perfect project manager or someone professional in the industry. That's the truth, right? It's very important. Paper qualification is not enough. You have to study more. You have to take the experiences from the industry, right? That's how you should develop your knowledge. එතකොට මොකක් හරි දැන් සයිට් එකකට ආවිතෙන් ගියා නම් if you went for a site the first time මොකක්ද අපි කරන්නේ මොකක් හරි සයිට් එකකට ආවිතෙන් ගියාම first thing එක තමයි අපිට දෙනවා drawing set එක. project එකේ drawing book එක දෙනවා. set එකම දෙනවා. First you have to take all the drawings and you have to study those drawings. At the same time you have to take the specification. You should read it and you have to identify some important areas. At least without a knowledge on the drawings of the building, you can't visit the site and you can't identify the site conditions. මොකක් කරන්න කලින් site එකකට ගියොත් after you complete the diploma or degree also you will enter the site into the industry. අනිවාර්යෙන් site එකකට යන්න වෙයිනේ. එහෙම යන දවසට මුලින්ම කරන්න ඕනේ drawing set එක අරන් හොඳට study කරන්න ඕනේ. At the same time take the specifications. spec එක කියලා අපි කියන්නේ it's like a book. Right? book එකක් තියෙනවා spec එක කියන. Right? spec එකේ තමයි ඔක්කොම in detail තියෙන්නේ. Sometimes the excavation depth also mentioning in the drawing, sometimes mentioning those things in the specifications. Based on that, you have to study, you have to identify those things. Right? it is a topsoil එක excavate කරාට පස්සේ අර වගේ මොන හරි earth excavation එකක්, you have to do remove some soil layers from your proposed land, you have to remove it according to the specifications, according to the drawing details. You have to remove first 2 meter layer from the proposed land. First 2 meter layer එක depth එක ඔයාලට අයින් කරන්න තියෙනවා proposed the construction area එක. So you removed it. Now this soil, this excavated soil layer, actually you can reuse for the filling activities, right? The thing is you have excavated, but because of the drawing requirement, not because of the unwanted things in the soil, right? That earth excavation එකක් කරොත් ඒ එකතු වෙන soil එක අපෝ reuse කරන්න පුළුවන් filling activities වලට. But this top soil එක අපි reuse කරන්න බෑ. That's the two differences. Right. Next one is the rock excavation. Right. Next one is the rock excavation. Rocks excavation කියලා කියන්නේ sometimes when we doing the excavation activities, there are some artificial or natural disturbances in the soil. Artificial කියලා කිව්වොත් දැන් අපි excavation එකක් කරගෙන පාරට යනකොට when after doing the excavations one by one, sometimes we have found concrete things. Right, concrete. Sometimes maybe a brick, collected some brick walls. Right, bricks වලින් හදපු එක concrete තට්ටුවක් තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. Those are the artificial things, disturbances. The natural disturbances means just like a rock. So if there is something like that, you have to remove it. Right? Sometimes you have to use different type of technologies to remove that rock. You have to drill it sometime. Right? It's taking more time. Sometimes it's affecting to the safety of your staff, safety of your laborers, the workers. Due to that reason, you have to use different type of security measures, safety measures. Likewise, different things are there when you're doing the rocks excavation. Actually, here I have not included another thing as dredging. That's mean excavations under the water. සමහරක් වෙලාවට අපිට excavate කරන්න තියෙනවා වතුර යට. Right? Dredging කියලා අපි කියනවා වතුර යට excavate කරන්න තියෙනවා. So, if you have to do something like that, first of all, normally before starting the construction activity, you should know about the excavation depth. What is the excavation height? Right? Dredging excavation එකකට යනකොට මුලින්ම අපි අඳුර ගන්න ඕනේ කොච්චර height එකකට කොච්චර depth එකකට excavate වෙනවද කියලා. Right? It's an actual additional thing. Normally, to identify excavation depth under the dredging system, we are using a sounding system. That is the method to measure the excavation depth. Sounding system එකක් කියලා කියන්නේ we are releasing the some sound wave එකක් release කරනවා. We are checking the reflecting time. එයා ගිහිල්ලා disturb එකේ වැදිලා මොකද soil එකේ වැදිලා ආපහු ඇහෙන්න යන time එක measure කරනවා. වැදිලා reflect වෙලා එන්න යන time එක. Based on that, you can measure the excavation depth. Right? We are using this method for dredging. So if you are doing any excavation activity under water, we can use this method to measure excavation depth. Right. I'll try to show you some that kind of excavation work. Next one is the cut and fill excavation. Right? This cut and fill excavation means you know all the soil layers, all soil conditions are not in the same level. Then I'm not telling about your land, right? Sometimes maybe like that. මුළු area එකම එකම level එකට නැහැ. Not in the same level. There may be some variations, some differences in the soil layers, the soil levels. Right? So what you have to do is imagine like this. Imagine in your proposed land there is a thing like this. Right? ඒ කියන්නේ මෙතන තියෙන මේ soil එක මෙතන තියෙන පොඩි කන්දක් වගේ soil එක මෙතන තියෙන void එක hole එක without soil. What you have to do is now you have to level this whole layer. This ground level you have to level it. What you can do is you can cut this soil. මේ soil layer එක cut කරලා මෙතෙන්ට fill කරනවා. I'm not perfect in drawing, that's the case. Here, imagine this is something like a hill or like something like that. So you can cut this and you can fill this area. You can fill this that void area. So this is the cut and fill method. Right? Cut and fill. Normally we have to use this method when you are doing the road construction, bridge construction. We have to use this technology method. cut and fill method. කියන අපි ලොකු area එක road එකක් කියලා කියන not less like 20 perches or 30 perches, not like that නේ. So we have to use this method most of the time in road construction, embankment construction likewise. Trench excavation. What is this trench? Give me 1 second, I will show you what is this trench excavation. I think actually I'm sending everything, telling everything as you are beginners to the industry. So I think as you told me, you are not working in the industry also. So I think a lot of very small things may be new to you. That's why I'm explaining some very small things also. So the trench means actually this trench excavation is going under the foundation. Give me 1 second.
Welcome back to Shems. We have our foundation lines marked out, and now it's
Normally, imagine like this: after you remove the topsoil and after you remove the earth, that's any excavation works, right? Earth removal works. The second thing is you have to excavate the trenches. The trench excavation means it's generally supporting to the foundation works. That means it's going under the foundation works. The first thing what you should do is you have to draw the foundation lines in your proposed land, right? අපි සමහර කෙනෙක් ලංකාවේ අපි නූල් ගහනවා කියලා හලදී නූල් වලින් mark කරනවා. Or you can draw it on the soil on your land. Based on that, you can start the foundation excavation or the trench excavation activities. I will show you video here.
utility locators have marked where your city lines run. So what we need to do is dig to actually find them and connect. When we located this particular sewer line, it was 10 feet deep plus or minus, but normally they are about 3 or more feet deep.
Whoa! Right there, baby. Exactly right to the money. This is the money, my friend. Whoa! Right there. This is our sewer.
It is an excavation part.
We use a 4-inch ABS pipe for the sewer line with a 1/4-inch slope per foot. The sewer lines run under the foundation and into the crawl space under the house. Until it's filled, and then we dig the trench. We pass inspection and backfill the trench. Fill in some dirt, pack it in, fill in some more dirt,
Right,
pack it
that's
in
how they are
again,
doing
and
the
repeat
backfilling
until it's
work,
filled, and then we dig the trench for the house
Now can you see
foundation
the
and footing.
excavated soil again we use for the backfill.
First, the rotary laser is set to keep things leveled.
Here.
When digging,
This
keep
is
your
how they
edges
do
clean.
the excavations
This way you
for
will
the
save
trenches.
money on concrete.
This is the trench.
It helps when the teeth on your
Based on the
excavator bucket are
lines that
wider
they
than the
draw,
bucket itself. For
they're
this
doing the
foundation, we
excavation.
are digging the trench 18 inches deep. Remove any loose dirt and tree roots. All trenches are now dug out. We are ready to build our forms for
Yeah,
pouring the
after
foundation.
excavation, the
Thank you for
excavating
visiting
the
us again.
trenches, this
Please do
looks
come
like this.
back for our
මේ
next
වගේ කපු
videos.
කපු ඒවා තැන් තැන්වල තියෙනවා. Right. We'll take a small break and after that I'll continue the discussions because I want to discuss more about the excavation part of foundation, the trenches. Right. Okay, I will take a small break and after that I'll continue the session. Right. Okay. So we'll start the discussion again. Now, I shared some videos for the trench excavation. In next day, actually, in today I can share a drawing with the AutoCAD for your reference. In next day, I will share one drawing with AutoCAD. Then you can refer. Then I can tell you how the foundation are placing. Right. So normally, in your house, think about the wall arrangement. Then imagine like this. Imagine this is the floor plan of your house. Imagine this is the floor plan of your house, and that means this is the wall arrangement. Right, this is the wall arrangement. In this wall arrangement, under every wall, මේ හැම wall එකක් යටම foundation එකක් එනවා. Under every wall there is a foundation. කියලා කරන්නේ around this wall area, මේ සම්පූර්ණ wall area එක වටේට තමයි අපි trench එක කපන්නේ. මේ හැම wall එකක් යටම foundation එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒතර foundation එක වෙනුවට තමයි නිසා තමයි මේ trench එකක් කපන්නේ. ඒක නිසා මේ සම්පූර්ණ wall area එකටම අපිට trench කැපෙනවා. ඒක තමයි මම කලින් share කරපු වීඩියෝ එකේ white color dust එකක් දාලා draw කරලා තිබ්බේ පොළවේ. That's how we are doing the trench excavation, right? Based on the normally you have to refer the foundation depth, foundation width, right, for the trench excavation, right? So basement excavation, you all know what is basement. So basements are, the basement is there is any floor under the existing ground level, we can call it as a basement. In shopping malls, in hospitals, right, and apartment buildings, there are you have experience about the basement. No? For the car parkings, we are constructing basement areas. The thing is, basements are placed under the ground level, right? For the basement, if there is any basement in your drawing, definitely you have to do a bulk excavation activity. Basement එකක් පොළවේ තියෙනවා වගේ drawing එකේ තියෙනවා නම් ඔයාට ලොකු bulk excavation එකක් කරන්න වෙනවමයි. Can you remember my very first video today shared one? It was a huge area, and they did a large scale excavation, right? It's just like, I'm not telling that is a basement. ලොකු area එක ගොඩක් පහළට කරන ලොකු area එක කරන excavation එක. Right, ඒ වගේ ලොකු තනිකර ලොකුම area එක සම්පූර්ණව පසයින් කරන්න ඕන. So it's a bulk type of excavation. So when you're going for a basement excavation or something, those measure that health and safety things, especially the shoring system and other things, right? Excavation hazardous. During my discussion also in several times I mentioned about the safety things. System, right? Likewise. So because of that, if you are doing any excavation activity, you have to be careful on the underground facilities, right? So such kind of damages can lead to severe disruptions. When the financial losses also can be happen. If you damage any line, sometimes you have to pay for those things, right? So those can affect your profit. It can create some losses on the financial side. excavation safety things, right? For slit trench. When digging slit trenches, it is crucial to use shovels instead of pickers to avoid damage. Detections of underground facilities. Before any mechanical excavation, it is essential to carry out trial excavation to determine and protect underground facilities effectively. Metal or cable detectors can aid in this process by doing some evaluation work right? You have to identify some underground lines. Then you can avoid. First you should identify it. After that, you can do some rearrangements. The shoring system. Can you remember in several times I told you about the shoring system? Here, the shoring is the process to temporarily supporting a building, vessel, structure or trench which shows when in danger of collapse or during repairs or alternate. Shoring comes from shore, timber, metal, likewise different type of materials are there. You have to identify more suitable shoring material for your one. Right, here you can see in the first picture, right, how they are fixing those steel or timber structures to the excavated soil surfaces. In second picture also, it's very clear how it's happening. Right, so I will show you one video for a shoring. Give me 1 second, I'll share that one.
Common types of shoring in construction. Shoring in construction is used to support a deep excavation to prevent the retained soil overturns and eventually cause a project mishap. Depending on the soil type, shoring support is usually provided when we need to support an excavation with at least 1.2 meter height. The common types of shoring that we usually encountered in the construction project are: number 1, I-beam shoring, also known as soldier pile walls, are the most common type of shoring that we usually encountered in a construction project. It is constructed by driving prefabricated steel sections into the ground. Soil condition may allow for the sections to be vibrated directly into the ground, instead of pre-drilling of soil before installing the beam. The full wall is formed by installing a precast concrete panel between the driven steel beams to construct the shoring walls. I-beam shoring is used to support an excavation ranging from 1.2 to 5 meters deep or excavations equivalent to at least one basement, and depending on the design, its toe length ranges from 10 meters to 12 meters depth from 0 levels. You can go beyond 5 meters, provided that it is properly designed and calculated to sustain the given surcharge load along its outside perimeter. Number 2. Secant pile shoring. Secant pile shoring was formed of intersecting two combinations of piles, with a reinforced also called a secondary and unreinforced or primary pile interlocking each other to form a continuous wall. A guide beam is constructed first prior to installation to keep the alignment in place. This is usually used in deep excavations. After casting the primary pile, the temporary casing is extracted while the concrete is not fully set, and a heavy casing is then driven into the intervening pile location, cutting into the fresh concrete of the adjacent pile. The secondary piles are then immediately drilled. The steel cages of secondary pile are inserted, and the structural concrete is poured to form a continuous wall. Secant piles are the best choice to use when there is no room for open excavation, or when space is limited because of an existing structure that is too close in proximity. Number 3. Contiguous pile shoring. Contiguous or tangent pile shoring is composed of closely spaced piles, wherein the faces of the piles are almost touching or tangent with each other. This is used in areas where water is not significant or the water pressure is very minimal. This is usually proposed in clay soils, and can use to retain dry granular material or fills. Although water seepage between the gaps of the pile is more likely to occur when using in water-bearing granular soils, it can be prevented by grouting these gaps to form a watertight retaining wall. This type of shoring is not recommended to use in high groundwater table without dewatering works. Construction of contiguous pile is very similar to that of the secant piles, as prior to the installation. A guide beam should be constructed to serve as a guide for the contiguous wall to install in place. Number 4. Sheet piles. Although can be used to retain soil to soil excavations, this type of excavation from the bodies of pond or on a seaside. It is commonly seen in a port and harbor construction. Similar to soldier piles, it can be constructed by driving using a vibro hammer. The full wall was formed connecting the Z or U steel sections or the sheet piles. Depending on the depth of excavation, the end of the sheet piles, if not long enough, can be welded together to reach the desired depth in the ground. Number 5. Diaphragm walls. When the excavation is too deep for the above-mentioned type of shoring, diaphragm walls can be used. It is inbuilt in 3 panels of reinforced concrete installed and concreted at site. It can be a load-bearing element for a temporary or permanent retaining wall or both. For deep excavation of basement and tunnels, diaphragm wall is the best option. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more.
And I'll show you one actual site situation.
Civil engineering bits.
Shoring systems with sheet piling.
Now you know what is the sheet
During
pile
excavation, shoring systems provide safety for workers in a trench. It is essential during excavations in unstable ground. This video is focused on it.
Who is
Actual site situation where contractor ignored the requirement of a proper shoring system, the non-conventional methods used in finally installing a proper shoring system. In this bridge construction site, pile foundations were completed and excavations were to begin for pile cap construction. Excavation depth was around 3 to 4 meters. Ground was unstable with a high water table. The contractor's initial plan was to carry out excavations maintaining stable cut slopes. 1 to 1.5 cut slopes are usually stable on firm ground. In this site, water table was high and ground was unstable. With time, cut slopes started to fail, halting construction works. Then the contractor resorted to retain the slopes by sandbags and very non-conventional and primitive log pilling. The results was again failure. This type of retention systems can never be accepted for deep excavations. The contractor suffered losses in time and cost since work was halted due to unsafe working conditions. Finally, the contractor started to install a proper shoring system with sheet piling. Interlocking sheet bills were driven surrounding the
ground level. We're pushing to ground level. by one you have to prepare with the soil. After that, there is some rains or something like that. You have to teach. So after preparing the surface boring, you are starting the excavation part. That is about the sheet piling. Right. Okay. Actually, in the today's session, we discussed about the mainly before starting the lecture, I discussed about students participated at the beginning. This project delivery methods, right? We have already discussed that area, but I refreshed your mind with the project delivery methods because it's maybe important for your exam and especially for the exam, right? So, and in the higher studies, when you're doing your higher studies also, this part may be important for you. After that, we discussed about this excavation. So, excavation taking a major role in any construction activity, any construction project. So because of that, it's very important for any profession in the industry, especially for the project managers. So what is excavation? The large scale excavation, small scale excavation, everything we discussed. After that, discussed about the excavation types, including topsoil excavation, earth excavation, rock soil excavation, cut and fill in, and dredging. Additionally, I discussed about dredging also, trench excavation, and the basement excavation. So finally, we discussed about some hazardous situations in these excavations, right? And the shoring. These are the things that I discussed during today's session. So I'm going to another presentation. With the time, I'm skipping first 2-3 slides. I will discuss it in next day. I'm directly coming to the structural elements. This presentation. Actually, when I'm doing your tutorial for the previous module also, I discuss some areas related to the structural elements. Right? In here, it's the structure means that, including the foundation, column, beam, slab, those are the elements of a structure, building structure. These elements are the purpose of supporting and closing, and that load directly coming to the slab. Right? If you have not participated with my tutorials, you can take a slab. Right? If you have not participated with my tutorials, you can take that knowledge up here. Right? So normally the load is coming to the slab first of all. After that, slab should transfer that load to the beams. Beams right? Get 2-3 story house slab එකක් concrete slab එකටම fit කරලා. That's the beam. Under the slab, normally it's under the slab. Right? That's the beam. So slab transferring it load to the beam. And go in your house, check all the beams are connected with some columns. Columns එක join වෙලා තමයි beams තියෙන්නේ. Because of that, beams can transfer its load directly to the columns. Right? Next important thing is, all beams, all columns are coming from the ground floor. Not all the columns, 100%. Some in upper floor, sometimes we are removing some number of columns to reduce the cost. But the main important columns are starting from the ground level. That means there is an interconnection between all the floors. Right? That beams transfer load to the column directly coming to the ground floor. That means the foundation area. Right? The foundation should transfer that load to the soil. This is the load transferring mechanism. Beams transferring it, slab transferring it load to the beam, transferring it load to the column transferring it load to the foundation. That's the method. Right? Now, do you have any idea about building failures? I think I can't remember, I have shared or not about the building failures. Right? I will show you in the world. I think I have not shared. In the world, there are many examples for building failures. Right? Now, earthquake building there is not a building failure, right? It's happened due to some natural situation, due to some effect. No, it is not a building failure. But building කඩන් වැටෙන හැටි දැක්ක නේද? Right? ඒ වගේ building ඒ විදිහටම buildings ඕන තරම් තියෙනවා කඩාගෙන වැටෙනවා. Right? Due to different reasons. Be not only the building, some elements කඩාගෙන වැටෙනවා. Right? The thing is the poor construction activities. Can you remember I told you the slab again beam, make a load again or below again column, make a load again. Like because I told you some structure. Sometimes what is happening is our contractors are not using correct technologies, correct methods to construct different elements. Imagine an engineer instructing you to use 4 rebars. But our contractors are what is they're doing to reduce the cost. They are using only 2 rebars. Engineer කියලා තියෙනවා දෙකක් හතරක් use කරන්න කියලා. ඒ වුණාට cost එක චුට්ටක් අඩු කරගන්න ඕන නිසා contractor මොකද කරේ දෙකක් විතරක් use කරා. Right? So directly it's affecting the building strength. Columns වලට rebars හතරක් ඕන එක rebars දෙකයි නම් use කරලා තියෙන්නේ. Directly I can say it's affecting to the load transferring system. Column වලට හරියට load එක transfer කරන්න බෑ. That's the issue. Right? So not due to those type of reasons, building failures are happening. Not only like that, when you're designing a foundation, we have to learn about the foundations also. Anyway, the foundation is the first structural element of a building, right? If you have not used enough the correct method, correct foundation type for your building, therefore neatly it's creating some building failures. Avashya calculation that you take in the decisions, right? I will show you some building failures. Right. So like that, building failures are happening in the world, not only in the other countries, right? In Sri Lanka also, there are some examples for the building failures. You can study, right? In your future, you have to do some research, you have to complete some research documents, right? In that case also, you can select some topics from building failures, right? There are in the internet, there are a lot of documents. The documents are available for the building failures. Some case studies are available. Try to read those things. Sometimes if you are using very low quality building materials, that also affecting for the building failures. Low quality techniques, right? The mainly the foundation type also affecting soil condition. When you're selecting a foundation type for a building, you have to consider total load of the building, soil condition. Those are important. So if you're not like that, if you're not selecting like that, it is affecting for it's creating some building failures, right? So I just want to show I showed some videos about the building failure because now we are going to discuss about the structural element, right? Now in your previous modules, now you know about how to select a building material and why some quality materials are important. Right, based on those two details, now you can understand, I think, about the building failures. right? Anyway, for a building structure, this part is very important. Sometime in this module, can ask some questions from the building structures, structural elements, right? I can remember there were some questions in previously from this area, right? You have to write about the building structures and some elements, right? Likewise, the purpose, reasons for the building failures, likewise, you have to write. Okay. Anyway, here you can see this is a sketch for a 2-story house. Walls, ground level, some stairs, foundation area, ground floor, door windows, walls, ceiling, roof, right? Door window areas, windows here, those are the elements. The first one is the foundation. As I told you, foundation is the first structural element that you should construct in a building. මුලින්ම හදන structural element එක තමයි foundation එක කියලා කියන්නේ. Right? The foundation is a structural unit that uniformly describe the load from the squarences to the underlying soil. This is the supporting element that to your building to transfer the load into the soil. That is the first structural unit, right? The good foundation of settlement of the building. So anyway, the foundation is very, very important part of a building. Next one is the column. Here, I can divide column into 2 areas, 2 parts, as structural columns and architectural columns. So architectural column means actually those are adding an extra beauty to the building. Those are not supporting to transfer the load to the soil. Now, you can see if you have a veranda area in your house, right? Sometimes there is some veranda columns. There are some veranda columns. Veranda columns, those are available in the shops also. Directly, you can purchase those columns from the shops, from the outside, right? Just you have to do is you have to purchase it and then you can fix it, right? Fix right? So those are the architectural columns. Architectural column here not starting from the soil. We are not constructing a foundation for the columns. Column footing column foundation architectural columns because it's not supporting to transfer the load. Right? Just we are using it just only for the appearance. But it's already different in the structural columns. In the structural columns, those are supporting to transfer the load. Right? Those are supporting to transfer the load. And structural columns normally starting from the ground level. We have to construct a foundation for those columns. Loku base kapanama, loku column footings kapanama, column foundation kila danawa. Right? Search on the internet. Lot of data are available for those things in the internet, right? Try with YouTube also. So a lot of videos also available. Try to refer those things, right? We don't have enough experience from the industry. So those are the 2 different areas under the columns. So those areas is architectural columns and the structural columns. The main difference is between those is the architectural columns are just used for the appearance, not supporting to the load transferring mechanism, but structural columns are directly supporting to the load transferring mechanism. That's the main difference between these 2, right? The fourth one is the DPC, dam proof course. Actually, this dam proof course means it's working like a waterproofing layer, right? Now, look at this one. Imagine this is a foundation. Next day, I will share what I can tell you. Right? Imagine this is a foundation. Can you remember I told you, have a bittiyak yatima foundation එකක් තියෙනවා කියලා. Right? So then foundation එක ගිහිලා තමයි මෙහෙම bittiyak පටන් ගන්න. Right? Foundation and this is the wall. Normally we are constructing the foundation by using concrete, rubble for those materials. After that we are constructing our walls from pre-core concrete blocks. Those are the materials. Can you remember in your last module you learned about the water absorption capacity of building materials? Right? In my tutorials also I discussed those areas. Water absorption capacity and the properties. Right? So now you have to link that module at here. Normally, foundations we are constructing by using rubber, concrete, that kind of building elements. Right? Can you remember rubber and concrete can absorb water? Right? Some percentage they can absorb water from some percentage. Those materials can absorb water. Right? එතකොට දැන් මෙතෙන්ට ගමේ surface එක අපි හදලා තියෙන්නේ rubber හරි concrete හරි වලින්. ඊට පස්සේ අපි එතනින්ම පටන් ගන්නවා wall එක. Wall එක හදන්නේ brick හරි concrete blocks හරි වලින්. Bricks or concrete block we are using to construct these walls. Right? Brick and block also can absorb water. Can you remember bricks can absorb high level of water, high percentage? Right? So that means if this foundation is already in the soil, foundation under the ground level, in the soil area. That means this soil water, right? The water contained in this soil, some percentage, can absorb to these materials. වතුර ප්‍රදේශයක් මේ එළියේ තියෙන මේ materials වලට absorb කරගන්න පුළුවන් foundation එක හදලා තියෙනවා. Imagine they can absorb just around 3%. They can absorb. After that, what will happen? Imagine you have constructed this wall by using bricks. The හැම වෙලේම මේ foundation එක wet because it already absorb water. What will happen? Methanic wall එකත් absorb කරගන්නවා. From this touch surface, right? Wall also can absorb water from the foundation. So what will happen? Brick එකත් ඔන්න වතුර absorb කරගත්තා. So normally we are finishing the walls with a paint, with a putty layer, right? So if wall absorb water, it's totally affecting the whole building structure, to the appearance, it's damaging to the final paint, like a lot of disadvantages are there, right? So but the thing is, that means you have to do some thing to limit this water absorption capacity for the walls. Foundation is already in the soil, so you can't limit it, right? And if they have absorbed water, it is not affecting to the appearance or something like that. It's not affecting. That's okay, that's fine. But you have to protect these walls. So what we are doing is we are laying a small waterproofing layer on the top of foundation. The waterproofing means they are not transferring water to the next media. If you after we apply a waterproofing layer like this, right, wall can't absorb water from the foundation. There is a limitation. They can't absorb water from the foundation. It is supporting you to protect your walls. That's the meaning of DPC. DPC means this waterproofing layer. This waterproofing layer we can know as EDPC, dam proof course. Right? That's about the DPC. Right. I have to discuss about lean beams and slab roof parapets also. I have to share some details before starting with the discussion of lintel and other things. So actually, I'm not going to continue my discussion from here for the today. I will continue it on next day by discussing the lintel and other things because I need more time to discuss about the remaining areas. The thing is this. I'm stopping my lecture from here for the today, but still I have not uploaded your assignment. Today or tomorrow I'll upload your assignment to the Moodle, right, with the submission deadline. So with the submission deadline will be scheduled to, I think, on the month of May, right? We have to do this module until end of May, right? We have another around 8 weeks of time period. So because of that, I'm planning to schedule your submission date for the month of May. So you have enough time. You have enough time actually to get ready for the assessment. But already your tutorial sessions also started. Because of that, I'll release my assignment within this weekend, right? Normally I'm also discussing your assignment during the class because first you have to identify your lecturer's requirement also with the tutorial session. They will support you to develop your same assignments, right? And after you receive your assignment, before coming to the next lecture, make sure to read it very carefully. Read it very, very carefully, right? Past descriptions are there, a lot of things are there. So read the assignment before coming to the next lecture. I will guide you how to develop your assignment based on the past descriptions. Right, okay. So I'm going to wind up the session for today. We will discuss about the assignment in next week and the remaining areas of your lecture materials. Right, thank you very much. And I'm appreciating student participation for the lectures. Thank you very much for your participation. Thank you and have a good day. Good morning. I'm going to start the lecture. This is our third week.